Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. I appreciate you taking the time to be a part of this. I think it's going to be an incredible session. Um, Today we have Jenny Antelak, who is a master certified coach and the president and co-founder of Learning Journeys, IFC accredited school that's been helping coaches for a number of years. As a little bit of an aside, she did a program for us with the Gulf Coast chapter in January that was phenomenal. So I'm very, very, very excited to have her back, and I think everyone's going to have a great time. I guess I should introduce myself. I'm Robert Haley. I'm the Vice President, President-elect of the Gulf Coast chapter here in New Orleans. So I'm listening to everybody talk about the snow. It got into the 30s this week, and everybody freaked out here. So we're not too good with the cold weather. I did want to add one last thing, Jenny, on the introduction, because I really love this every time I read it. She's known for saying out loud what other coaches are just thinking and teaching with humor and reminding people that serious growth doesn't have to take itself seriously. I love that. And so without further ado, Jenny, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Looking forward very much to your presentation. So take it away.
I'm thrilled that all of you are here. And I would love for you to share either in the chat or even just write down what is important about being here today. And then to make sure that at the end of this that you do get what you need out of this.
I'm looking forward to the demonstration. I'm
And Annie, what are you looking forward to inside of that?
well, I trained to be a coach many years ago and
Mhm.
haven't done it in a while, so I'm trying to get back to it and just to actually witness that transformation that I know happens and happened when I did coach people. But yeah, just need to really get some pointers and just to, fall back in love with coaching.
Mm, I love that. For you and for everybody else, as we go through this, really think about what would you do as I ask a question? What question would you ask? Because we're all going to coach differently, and there's a reason behind why we ask a question. And is it in honor of the client's goal, or is it that we see something that they don't see? Like what is your motivation behind something? And then can you back up to say, is that really what I wanted to ask, or is there something better I could have asked? And I can guarantee you all of us uh, can be better at this over and over again if we keep in those questions of what am I trying to achieve here? Am I nailing it? If not, what could I tweak? And usually it's just a little word here, a little phrase here. It's nothing huge. But if we understand the competencies and we understand our purpose behind something and how it aligns or doesn't align with the person's goal, it makes all the difference in the world. And so to really pay attention to did did I actually nail the goal? If not, what else did I need to ask to get it clear? Was it, and I love Annie that you piped up because was it a transactional goal or was it really a transformational goal in what I was doing? And what is the difference? And can you spot the difference? And we'll talk about it at the end, but I know that I'm running out of time because of the lovely technology faux pas at the beginning. So I'm just going to jump right into things and then we will have a discussion afterwards. Nia, you up for this?
I am.
And then if somebody could please tell me when I am 20 minutes into this, 25, and said I stop at 30 minutes. So, okay. So, Nia, first of all, thank you for being willing to do this in front of everybody.
Hi, everybody.
And for you, how do you like to start your coaching sessions?
Um, well, I think I'm just going to close my eyes and take a deep breath so that I can be fully present. It's a crowded room. So I want to just be with you.
Mm.
Okay.
And what do you need to set aside, if anything?
Um, Actually, interestingly enough, I feel really present. I think I took care of my distractions, so I feel here with you.
Perfect. And how do you want to be in the coaching session?
Um, I think I want to be out of my head. So I'll just say like heart-centered, focused on the things that um, matter right now.
What do you hope to hear or experience by being heart-centered?
Um, I think I've been realizing lately I'm way too up in my head all the time. And when I'm up in my head, I tend to get into black and white thinking or trying to make sure everything, the equations equal out. Um, and I think being heart-centered is more rolling with the flow for me.
Mm. What does it sound like when you're heart-centered versus having your answers come from the black and white space?
Um, I think there's a lot less judgment,
Hmm.
self-judgment, less sorting, like of um, like pre-sorting ideas.
Hmm. And if those are absent, what do you hope will occur?
Um, I think it gets back to like sometimes the best things come like in the middle, in the mess, or the inspiration or the things that I need. And right now, I think I need less definitive, repeatable. I think I need more inspired action. Maybe it's the being on the verge of spring here in Minnesota, but I'm feeling like there's a need for a new approach on that.
Mm. So we haven't coached for a while. Otherwise, I would ask you about your homework. So I'm going to jump right into the focus of your session is what would you love to focus on today?
You know, along the theme of spring, every year about this time I start getting ridiculously antsy. Um, and this has been true the last couple of years around my house.
Mhm.
Um, I have a 16-year-old and a 7-year-old, and I feel like it's just chaos all the time. I have stuff coming out of every drawer, shelf, toys, papers, and my instinct is to like just get a dumpster or a burn bin and just burn it all down. And it's been a few years, like it's gotten so disordered for me that I like it's starting to cause me anxiety and stress, and I don't know how to move forward. And I think this urge comes up every spring, and I get to a point where I have an idea, um and then it gets overwhelming because if it can't be everything, nothing's good enough kind of thinking. And so I want to this feeling's starting to come up for me, and I'd like to enter it a different way so that maybe um, something can change. Because I keep trying different things and it's just not working. And I need a different approach to this problem because it's driving me crazy.
So what would you call the problem?
Uh, the um, I'll just call it the clutter problem.
Clutter problem.
Yeah, the clutter problem.
And what is the feeling um, cause you to think about the clutter problem?
Well, the feeling, I feel, honestly, it feels hopeless,
Mm.
which is not a great feeling. It's like, doesn't matter what effort is made, it like just keeps creeping back in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I, I am not, I will never claim to be the neatest person in the world, but this is ridiculous. Like it's to that point. It's like there's just stuff everywhere.
Mm. And so at the end of our coaching conversation, what do you want the feeling to be?
That's a good question. Um, yeah, I want to have some hope,
Mm-hmm.
but not like ungrounded hope. Like not fantasy hope, like, oh yay, I've got this grand idea. It's like actionable hope.
Mm.
I want to be able to go, oh, and maybe it's different than hope. Maybe it's not just hope, but like I'm inspired to take a new action.
What do you need to experience in the coaching session that will tell you that you've moved from hopelessness to inspired hope?
Um, I think I need to experience like I don't even know how to articulate it. It's like um, I need to experience a new way of seeing this
Mm.
problem. Because it feels like over and over again, um, I keep running into the same like result, which is overwhelm and then and defeat and then I'm off. Like being miserable for another 11 months. So
And then
I
winter's
don't
here
like
again, then spring.
figure it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. If you have a new way of seeing, what happens after that?
Well, I think if I have a new way of seeing, I think it invites me to maybe um not put so much energy on the old stories that seem to just kind of the old ways of approaching things like there's like some of the things that come up around it is like it makes me feel ashamed. I'm even sitting here going, God, I can't believe I'm saying this in front of 200 and some people. Like, see, I should be neat as a pin. I should have everything in order. And I'm like, oh, did I just do that? I did. But that's part of it is that it it brings up old feelings that don't really resonate with the person I am anymore. And I think a new way of seeing this might help me, like, because those feelings are very constricting
Mm-hmm.
and they keep me from willingness.
Mm-hmm. So can I just confirm the goal to make sure that we're on the same page
Yeah.
is really you want to solve the clutter problem, as you
Hmm.
named it, and moving from uh, hopelessness to inspired hope, and by seeing it from a new lens or a new way of seeing it, that's going to shift things for you and shift that feeling.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, because I can come up with a million different ideas. Something's just not lining up.
Hmm. Well, when you think about it, you can come up with a million different ideas. Who's coming up with the million different ideas that don't line up?
Uh, that's a really good question. Like, who is that? I think it's the part, like it's a part of me that wants to get it right,
Mm-hmm.
that wants everything to be the way I imagine it in my mind, or the idea of what my house should look like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's where I'm always coming from.
And so, what does that part of you pay attention to?
Um, it pays attention. I think it pays attention to um, what I need to breathe in my own space.
Mm-hmm.
And it pays attention to what looks good to everybody else too. What I think looks good to everybody else. Um, and what a house should look like, whatever that means. I don't really know, but there's some shoulding in there somewhere.
Well, how have those perspectives or viewpoints served you?
Well, I don't know that they've entirely served me except to kind of keep me chasing after something I don't really know. It's like an idea or an ideal versus something I know or
What
something
is
that's familiar.
it? What is it that you know?
Hmm. Mm, that's a good question. What is it that I know? I know that um, I live in a house with other people and a dog who do not have the same uh, perspectives as I do,
Hmm.
or needs, or urgency to do any of this. So, um, which is, but I um, but I also know that I'm not sure. I don't know what we want together, but I don't know. I know that it's not serving them the best either,
Hmm.
but I'm not sure that they have sat down and thought about that.
Hmm. Who needs to decide?
Well, I'm sitting here thinking about this and I'm like, I just don't think we ever have this conversation. I mean, my kids are old enough that we as a family could have a conversation,
Mm-hmm.
not just about clutter, but about what this house does for us as a family and as individuals. And I think some of this has been the result of since COVID that like we were all here and the house that felt spacious suddenly didn't feel spacious at all. Like we had no space. And my daughter was little, it was 5 years ago. So she was, 2 and 3. And my son is now a teenager. He has more space in this house than any of us. And my daughter, like, it's just like the space allocation. I don't think we've sat down and like talked as a family that maybe, and the clutter, I think, is a result of not having that conversation. I didn't, because I'm trying to get to some ideal that I have. And what happens is I joke around with my husband. I'm like, we will do a deep clean like once a week, sometimes once every other week, depending on what's going on. Like thorough, everything in its place. And it's not even 40 minutes later, and the whole place looks like a tornado hit it. And that's my daughter primarily. And and I keep saying there's just no space. There's just no space. There's just no space.
And what's true or not true about that?
Um, I just don't think the space is allocated well.
Mhm.
And we just haven't really taken the time to talk about. Do you remember those games with the numbers? They're like a little thing and you have to order the numbers. You just move them around. I don't know what they're called, but that's what my house feels like. It's like, we'll move it over here and then we'll move it over here and then we'll move it over here. Um, and so we're moving stuff around. We're moving furniture. We're moving things, but I think we haven't really all talked about how we want to use it
Mm.
and what we need from the house.
How does moving things versus talking about the use of the house, how are those different?
Yeah, that's a good. I think I don't think I think I am trying to get to something on my own, which is order.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but if and I keep trying to shuffle things around to get to order, but I don't think we're all on the same page about what this house does for us. And I think if we could maybe get to some sort of like conversation around, hey, it's that time of year, spring cleaning, like let's rearrange, let's look at what we want to do and really look at how we use the space together as a family.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially, like, what if that cracks something open about even where things are in this house that it doesn't, what if it looks like our house instead of this ideal house? And what if that becomes something we all want? And because we all want it, the order naturally flows. It's like, I feel like the entry point, it's flip-flopping in my head to be like what I value, what my husband values, what my kids value, what my daughter, what we all have, and the dog.
Mm-hmm.
What are the realities and the constraints? If we can sit down and kind of decide together, maybe the order, instead of being the thing that brings what we want, which is harmony or peace or breathing room, maybe maybe that just naturally is a natural output.
um, when you go back to the thought of really seeing um, this problem in a different way,
Mhm.
what are the things that you are concluding about the problem?
Well, the things that I'm concluding right now is that I think the problem, I think I've been dealing with the symptoms of a deeper problem.
Mm,
And I think the deeper problem is that we all just kind of have our own way of being together in this
mhm.
house. And maybe it's serving some, I don't know, it might be perfect for my daughter. She's like, I get to rule the roost. I get to have stuff everywhere. I'm creative. I'm fun. And the rest of us are just like, lucky to have space, I guess, to be able to sleep here in her home. But it's not serving. And I feel like if we could like approach this collectively or collaboratively in a I think that might give us all insight into how we can better be together and better shape the spaces. And then we can create ground rules to maintain the space. I feel like it's helping me kind of see it differently. I think I've been trying to deal with the symptoms. And I think the problem is that there's an opportunity for us to come together as a family that needs this house to work for us together.
Mm. When you think about how it did work and then COVID came along and what version of the home supported or is supporting
Mhm.
the version of the people in the home.
Hmm. Can you ask me that question a
Yeah.
different
Um,
way? I know what you mean. I just can't get to it.
how well is the version of the home supporting the version of the people in the home?
I think um I don't think I know.
Mm,
I mean, like I think about my son. I I I like he's perfectly happy being in the basement and doing his thing and living his life. I'm like, we have two houses, where it's just a
mhm,
rambler. It's a lovely house. There is the lower layer, which is my office and my son's domain,
mhm,
16-year-old boy, right? Upstairs, it's my daughter's domain, and we're lucky to have space in it. So I think it's serving some people, but I think it's out of balance and it's out of whack, and I don't think it's sustainable. And that I think the version is like definitely 6 years ago, pre teen, pre mom working from home, pre daughter who is mobile and in school and an avid active learner. I don't think we have upgraded our environment to match who we are.
mm. And what would a conversation with everybody do for where you're at right now?
Well, I think if I said if it's a conversation, everybody to opt out because they're like, Mom, you talk too
Oh.
much. Uh,
So what is it then?
but I think I wonder if we can't do it as like a creative activity where we all draw like our version of what our house, what we would love our house to look like, what's important about it. That way, my daughter can be communicating at a level that works. My husband can communicate. We can all be communicating from the perspective that we are, and then we can see patterns and
Mhm.
see what makes sense. Because if I say we're having a conversation, nobody has the attention span for that. I'm the only Olympian in conversations. I'm metal.
Mhm.
They're like not even meeting the trials, so they don't have the attention span. But I think if we can make it an activity, I think we could have some fun with it. And it might
Mhm.
be multiple conversations, but I think we
Mhm.
could start to imagine a different home.
And for you, what would it support that really reinforces that this is worthwhile?
Well, I think I've been in homes of people that I love my whole life that are not ideal. Like they don't look like the magazines, they don't like this, but there's something about them, and the space reflects the people in it and it serves the people in it.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore it's like a place I want to be.
Mm.
And I've been in all kinds of houses. It doesn't matter. Like I love big, small, tiny, like doesn't matter. That's I think it's moving from a house that houses us to a home that nourishes us.
Mm.
And that to me feels really, say I said in my heart, I feel like I'm out of my head and I feel like I'm accessing what I really want.
Mhm.
And that's really what I want.
So what would have to lead for you that to happen? The activity, not the conversation.
Mhm. I think playfulness.
Mm.
I think not having to let go of the outcome looking a certain way and that it might not be as fast
Mhm.
or clear. Um, but I think starting that conversation could really open some dialogue with my family in a new way. Um, because like my son he's 16, he's a sophomore. He's starting to think about his life outside of this home. Maybe if that ever happens, we don't know, right? But starting to think about that. My daughter is starting to think about who do I want to invite into this home? Like my friends, and what do I want to do inside this home? And I want all of that.
Mm.
And my husband, I don't know. I haven't had that conversation with him in a long time. Not since we did a lot of remodeling. And so I think allowing curiosity and um, spaciousness to see what unfolds, to see what comes to the surface, I think will be really what needs to lead.
Nice. So I keep seeing that I'm running out of time. uh, Nia, when you think about where you started this story and where you are now, what has evolved for you?
Well, um, like I feel like I hit on what really is at the heart of things, like the whole idea, like that the clutter is a symptom. I'm like, of course it is. Of course it, like in my brain, all of a sudden, I'm like, yes, that makes sense. Um, because there's no real connection happening for us together and us with the home and vice versa. And I was like, I think that that feels like I understand the intention and I understand what needs to be tended to rather than just furiously cleaning and putting things away and doing all that. Like it feels like a real strong pivot.
Mm-hmm.
And that feels really freeing, and I I think it is that hope, but I feel like I know where I'm going. I feel like oh, this isn't dead. This isn't because I'm just a terrible cleaner. It's like those stories just maybe there's something else going on. And that feels more accurate.
So what part of you would be driving the initiative?
Well, I think it has to be the part of me that is in this place of hopefulness of what's really going on, and is maybe there's something that we all want that can bring us even closer together and have this home evolve. And that feels really good.
And so how much progress do you feel you achieved on your goal?
Well, I think the problem shifted, which I think shortened my journey. I think I've been trying to do this thing, and I've been circumventing, and now it feels like, okay, now that it feels like I'm clearer about what really might be at stake here and what really is going on. I still have to figure it out. I have to make sure that this is something, not just what I'm imagining, but it feels like this was well worth my time today. This was really, really important. And I feel like I'm farther actually than I thought I was going to get.
What will tell you that it is something? What will you feel?
Um, I think I'll feel like even if we aren't all using the same language, that there's a kernel of truth that we all want something better. And we want, as a family, like there's some truth that it may not all come out the same way. But that we're all finding each other in the conversation, in the activity that I'm imagining.
And what will you conclude by that?
That I think I'll conclude that this is going to be worth the time and energy and effort to stay curious and try some things that maybe I wouldn't have tried.
Nice. And how would you like to close out?
I'm going to do a stretch. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Nia.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts, comments? I can't even change the view now. What's going on?
Thank you both so much for allowing us to be a part of it.
Well, thanks for being a part of it. What would you have done differently or that you thought of?
I enjoyed seeing the conversation almost being coffee and two friends and sharing. Nothing was forced, nothing was rushed. I think that was for me not something new, but that sort of my style of easiness is okay. It still works. Sometimes I feel I'm supposed to be a bit more formal because I'm newer to this, and we have all our markers and things and so forth. And I go into my real coaching and that's not me. I mean, definitely aware of the questions and what they need to evoke and bring in the space and those things. But yeah, that we left with a conversation of one friend really listening that day and the other friend really sharing that day. So it just, I guess for me, reinforces that there's still result if we can get out of our heads of the formality.
Yeah, and I think, if you think about that, Sandra, first of all, they pick you for a reason, and how important it is to not abandon who you are and find a way to show up authentically inside of that. And you can still do the work without having to be mechanical about it. And I think it is hard in the beginning because you're trying to, oh gosh, I got to hit all these markers. I got to do all these things. But then do we forget to listen? So,
Yes, which of course is the most important part of it all, right?
yeah.
So, yeah, it's sort of like, excuse me, to hell with the other stuff. Once you're in it, you're there for that person.
Yeah. Awesome. Luz.
It's Liz.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. Thank you. I think it's funny because what I wanted to ask, you got there anyway. And this is just a perfect example how watching this in action really helps me to say, no, you can't rush it. You gotta go down and kind of go slowly with her process. And the questions you were asking afterwards, I wrote down, I was like, why is she asking not that? So I was I was anticipating what
Mhm,
you did ultimately. And so for me, it's that rush mentality. It's the
mhm,
check the box, like Sandra said, but she got to where she needed to be anyway. And for
mhm.
me, it's when clients don't know what they want. They always start with one topic and then it inevitably it's not that topic, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
the sky is blue versus my world's falling apart. And
Mhm.
so I really felt and I appreciate the time you took and the pace that you were at. So thank you very much to both.
Thank you. Fitch, how about for you?
Hi. That was really interesting and exciting to watch. My question is about a particular question you asked in the early part of the session. You said, "What do you need to experience in the coaching session to move from hopelessness to inspired hope?"
Hmm.
When I heard that question, I heard all of my clients saying, "I don't know. I don't
Hmm.
know what I need to experience. Aren't you supposed to tell me what I need to experience?" I mean, right.
Hmm.
So I'm curious, I turn it over to you, where you come from when you're asking that question and what you're looking to hear.
Sure. No, and it's a fair comment because it'd be different if I had a brand new client. And they probably would be like, "What? That's why I hired you."
Mhm.
Um, but what I was trying to understand is this is this something that she needs to experience internally? Like I need to get the cobwebs out. I need to um, move from feeling like crap about this. I need to, like, what exactly? Because while she said the problem, she didn't say exactly what she needed to solve inside of that until she started saying, I need to not feel hopelessness about this. And and so then I started to try and figure out, okay, what are we pulling apart here to understand better?
Mhm. Can I follow that up a little bit?
Uh-huh.
Um, so when you heard hopelessness, it sounds like you heard, am I still? Oh no, I'm still going. When you heard hopelessness, it sounds like you heard hopelessness as a location. Like, is that an internal location about a feeling state, or is that an external location in her home? Is it a combination? Is that sort of what am I?
Well, and when you're at the goal,
Mhm.
well, yes, I could think all those things. I'm not quite to that place yet. I'm just having it be a play, kind of a thing to come back to. And so I don't need to dig in, because if we dig in right there and start to understand what hopelessness even means to her, what the um if we get too far in, we're going to start coaching right there, and we haven't really clarified the goal yet.
Mhm.
And all I need to understand at this point is, can I locate her inside of her story? And can she locate herself? This is where I'm starting from. This is where I want to go. And then we'll start checking out the story later on. I just need to know that this is the beginning. This is where we need to head.
Thank you. That makes sense to me. That's clarifying.
Um, Fitch and anybody else, I am going to put, and I'll put it in there a couple of times, a link that, first of all, I would love your feedback, honest feedback about what worked, what didn't work, how you would apply this. But also, I made a document that shows, breaking it down by competency of what are we doing at a transactional level, but then what moves it to transformational. And so your thought process is impeccable, because you're starting to think about, okay, um, I need to figure out, like, if I am too general with my questions, do I just get my client more lost inside of their own story? And that's why they hired me. And so, how do I even be careful with what questions do I use? When can I use them? And I think you have more freedom the longer you have a client. Um, but you have to build up to that, and then paying attention to, what does this question do versus this? And so, it, hopefully, it'll be a great resource for any of you. Eric?
Yeah, good morning. Is it okay if I'm off camera? I'm actually driving right now.
Well, if you promise not to do anything dangerous, yes.
Yes, I'm outside of camera. I'm just gonna ask my question. I was home, but I have to go to work. I'm sorry. Thank you so much for the demonstration. I have a question. I guess the first question you asked once you had the contract, once you knew where you were going, I was very surprised of how you went almost for the jugular. Like that was like a who question, right? You ask who do you need to be, or that was like, and I was surprised on how you didn't spend any time in the what needs to happen, what are the things you could do differently. You went straight for like who, and I'm wondering if that's a way you usually like coach. Is that something you usually do, or was it because again you knew that client? Uh,
Well, when you think about, when people are trying to change their thought process or change their behavior, what we tend to do as just humans is we think, well, I just got to change my actions. Well, the reality is that our identity drives our behavior, not vice versa. And so if we ask the who questions, then it helps our clients see who's holding the pen right now, who's driving this agenda right now. And then if I understand who's in charge, then I can understand where they look. Where does their attention go? Where does it not go? And Nia described that in that, well, I start paying attention to, the house has to look a certain way, that I have to have these things. And so she has different rules for different identities of who's in charge.
mhm. Okay, okay. Yeah, I just thought that was pretty powerful instead of getting lost into like details of what could be different and what could happen differently. Just going for like the identity piece was pretty powerful.
Well, and if you think about all of the competencies, when we are taught our competencies, we're taught them from a transactional place of, uh, you need to figure out the direction they need to go. And then you need to figure out externally what's influencing them that is keeping them from creating this. So the barriers that they see. And then it is even competency 5 leans further into them driving the conversation. What do they want to focus on? But all of these competencies also have a chance for us to dig into the narrative, dig into the identity of an individual, because our stories that we hold on to are always formed by I need to protect an identity or avoid an identity. And inside of that, I'm trying to, what's guiding me are I have beliefs, which are my formulas of if this, then this will happen. If this, this won't happen. And then our values of, and our values are tied to our emotions. I want to feel a certain way. I don't want to feel a certain way. I don't want people to think I'm a jerk. Um, but all of that, if we just skirt the surface of something, we aren't getting to their motivation, their drive, their so what of why am I doing this? Why does clutter drive me nuts? It probably has nothing to do with clutter. It has to do with the person that she feels out of alignment with.
Mhm. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was way more than you asked. I apologize.
No, that's great. That's great. Thank you.
Is it Yahi? Yahi? I can't.
It's Yeji.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm
no
gonna
worries.
destroy it a bajillion times, and I apologize.
It's not an easy one. Thank you so much for this coaching. I learned so much in this session. I could list everything I've learned, but it's probably going to take too much time. So I'll just jump straight into the questions, which is I had one for you and one for Nia. For Nia, I was wondering, what was the question, or at what point did things really shift for you? Like, was there a question that helped you kind of really get out of your sort of original perspective or original way of being or identity and make a shift that way? And then for you, Coach, the question was the identity piece, right? Um, how do you then, I think it was so powerful when you, and I think relating to what Eric also mentioned was like that question of who are you being, right? Which is great at understanding, creating awareness of the identity that we all like hold on to when we do things the way we used to do. But how do you help them shift that identity to something new that serves them better?
Um, well, first you have to figure out if they want to,
Mm,
and really pay attention to what is we hold on to certain things because they're familiar. They uphold something. A lot of times it's immediate, is that this part of me is easier to access. Um, and and so not making it right or wrong, but just asking them, what what are you trying to maintain right here? What is important about this? What's at risk if you let it go? So then they can decide if it's worthwhile to do it. And the moment that we decide for them, we've given them another identity. If you think about it, because what we're doing is saying, oh, you don't actually got this. Let me help you. And so we put another layer and move them further away from awareness of what am I choosing each moment and for what reason? And if we can really wake them up to the awareness of what we want to do over and over again is move people from just being the main actors in their stories to observing their stories. And so thinking about when you ask questions, does it allow them to step out of their story long enough to see what's going on and where does their attention go? Where does their feelings go? Where do they do that? And for what reason? And how long do they want to do that? Does that help?
Yeah, very, very helpful.
And yeah, this is Nia. I just want to say from the other, that same perspective, it's very interesting because it was it's interesting how many of you have picked up on the question about being. Who do I get to be in this? Or who are you, Nia, doing these things? Those questions really started to help me, like, I could hear my words coming out of my mouth that don't match my values and don't match really what I want, but that's what I keep doing. And so her follow-up questions about, well, what do you get to keep and what gets to stay? You know, she started kind of sorting through all these pieces. Now I'm not on the problem of clutter anymore. I'm on the problem of my values and like, how do I show up to this and what do I want? And the inside of that, nobody could like reach in my brain and see what was going on inside of me, but I started connecting the dots to, I'm trying to make everything look good for everyone else, and I don't even know what the heck's going on in my own house with the people who live here. That was the connection I made inside. And so her questions, things started to pivot. So you were asking about that. That's really, it wasn't one question, but it was kind of it started with that identity piece. And I find it interesting that you all are kind of picking up on that, because I sat back and I was like, that was a darn good question to ask for this. So.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
I have to unmute myself. I didn't realize. And of course, because of my technology challenges today, my name is not up here. It is Jenny. So if any of you, not that you have to call me Jenny, but better Jenny than jerk. So Adam, how about for you? What's your question?
I mean, you just referenced core values, and those are always operating under the surface. Had you guys done core values work before, like as sort of an introductory exercise, or from the coach's perspective, is it actually not that relevant? Is it just more important that she knows her core values and that she's interacting with them, or do you know where she's coming from, and did you do work prior to that?
Oh yeah, yeah. The very first coaching session, there's a 3-hour session that I do with each client, really getting clear on what are the values that are in the background always. Which ones do you want to be running the show, and for what reason? So that as you get further into the coaching, they have a resource. That doesn't mean that those values don't alter or shape differently depending on the situation. But if they don't have that foundation, it's really hard for them to understand that. And I think we have a huge assumption a lot of times that people know what their values are, but most people don't even know what values actually are.
Mm-hmm. I thought it
And
was interesting that you didn't mention it, like that you didn't remind. You gave her the space to sort of get there. And maybe that was intentional or unintentional, I don't know, but I was like, ooh, it feels like there's something operating under there. I wonder if she's going to say it. I wonder if she's going to go back to that on her behalf. But she like others have said, she got there. She processed.
yeah, I mean, the I think for a while, it depends on what's going on, but you really have to pay attention to where are they right now in their story, and can I just stay with them? Because I don't need to pull them out of where they're at. One of the things that I say a lot to students is rather than trying to hold everything they're saying and then strategically try to connect the dots, uh, just pick up the last thing they said. And if you notice, I did that a lot. Whatever Nia laid down, I just picked it up and asked a question. because I figured, well, at some point we'll get to those deeper pieces and how they connect. But right now, this is where she's at. So I'm just going to stay there.
Honoring where she's at.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Eric.
I'm back. This is a question again. Wondering, I did not notice a lot of reflection, and I'm wondering if there was if that's just the way you coach, or if there was no need for it, or would it have been interested
What's your definition of reflection?
some reflection? Not asking a question, really like a statement of what I've heard from my client in a way that might give light to what I've heard them
So
say and
feed.
make sure that we're on the same page.
Um,
And yeah, it's a curious question, really. No judgment, yeah.
yeah, I don't do a lot of that, and the reason why I avoid that is because when we feed information back to our clients and say, this is what I heard, somewhere in that translation, we've changed the meaning. And not intentionally. Well, sometimes maybe. Can't say that's always the case. But a lot of times, it's what we're trying to do, even by reflection, most of those times, or hand it back to them, is to say, I'm listening. But one of the coolest ways that we can say that we're listening is to follow up with a question, because that really shows you're listening. Because think about, even with close friends of yours, the ones that ask you questions, you want to hang out with the most because they're really there with you. They're really listening. And if a client says a lot of things, rather than you working super hard to feed it back to them so they can hear it, the greatest thing you can do is ask them, what did you hear in everything you just said? They're going to pick up the things that were important to them. And that is a greater exercise in listening than us trying to be so responsible for their words.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Maureen?
Hi there. Thanks for calling me. Whoops, you can't see me. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I want to first of all just comment or mention. So Nia, thank you. You stayed in your role. Thank you for sharing. I thought it was very intimate and real and insightful. So thank you for that. And Coach Jenny, so the last few questions have helped answer this question that I have in my mind. My burning question is, I wanted to know what was inside your head. What were you thinking? How literally, like, what was inside your brain space? And then, were there markers? Were there moments? Were there tags or flags that made you say something, ask a different question?
Well, to be honest with you, Maureen, the thing that I had to keep moving out of my head is, oh my gosh, I'm running out of time.
Yeah.
And I just made all these people wait.
Mm-hmm.
That was always, and I write it down, and I usually put it in the middle of my page, is Nia's goal. And I just keep coming back to that.
Okay.
And making sure that I haven't lost sight of that.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
then if you notice at the beginning, I asked her how she wanted to be. And one of
Yes.
the things she said, she needed to focus on what matters versus black and white. And so I wrote down that. So I asked a couple of times of where her attention is, what matters now versus, and so I'm using her words, trying to make sure that I don't influence this, that I go to these places that she said were important.
Okay. Okay, so that's helpful. I was curious what you were writing down. And so then, one last question. So thank you for answering that. And by the way, I think that you recovered very professionally from the technology gremlins. So good job with that. And
Thank
I'm
you.
into technology. So, um, yeah, so I just am going to go back to the kind of the tagline that you have, and I may be paraphrasing here, but you kind of promote the idea that you will say things out loud that other people might keep inside their heads. So, was there something like that that happened today?
Oh, that was more so about just being candid about the importance of coaching and holding
Okay.
true to the line and the
Okay.
purity of it. I'm not going to say what I think my clients should do or what they have I feel like they're holding back on. That's not my role.
Okay.
So,
All right. Good. Thank you.
mm,
Jenny, we're at the 10-minute mark.
okay. Um, d so Myra, do you guys need to take over now, or can I continue to answer questions?
I think you can go ahead and continue.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
I want to be respectful of everybody's time. So, Wendy, how about for you?
Great, thank you very much. Great exercise. Not a question, just a comment. This was a wonderful example for three things for me. I've been coaching since 2005. Number one, always coach the person, not the problem, and you just did a brilliant job of that. So I think it was really a textbook case of that, and I appreciated seeing it in live form again. Number two, it's a great reminder for all of us to spend as much time as we need to upfront to get clear on what the client is wanting. So often we look at our own watches and we're like, okay, well, we better move on. We got to get to action. No, you just really demonstrated for us the importance of taking those minutes, however long it took, to confirm. And the other was just, again, a reminder of the importance of the how, the who, and the what questions. Oftentimes, as coaches, we stray from that the power of the simplicity of asking a who, a what, or a how. And I noted down almost every question that you asked, and there was only one that started with an if, and everything else was a who, a what, or a how. So thank you for that.
Oh, geez. What if question did I ask?
If you find a new way of seeing what would happen after that. So
Oh, okay.
there was a what there, but you didn't lead with the what, maybe. So
Okay. I thought I
Thank
went
you.
against my own teaching
Well,
there for a second,
at
but
least that's how I wrote it down. Anyway,
no, no,
thank you,
that's,
thank you.
I just always say if you ever start a question with like, what if? Could you, that you're, trying to drive their own ideas. And so I was afraid that's what you were saying, Wendy. So, yeah, and I want to go to the first thing you said is we actually have up to 20 minutes to get the goal. And that is really important and valuable time. And for most of our clients, they're already in it. So when we're asking those clarifying questions, they don't realize that we haven't gotten to the meat of this yet. If we are good at asking those questions, they're doing the work right from the beginning and they're not thinking the time.
Good point. Yeah. Anyway, thank you to both of you.
Thank you, Wendy. Carrie, how about for you?
Thank you. One question that keeps coming to mind is if you are coaching someone that you don't have this long relationship with, especially maybe someone in a corporate environment. Like if I'm thinking if I asked a relatively new client, so who are you being or who do you want to be? They might be like, what are you talking about? So what's another way to kind of get to their identity without maybe using those phrases, especially with someone that you don't have a longer term relationship with yet?
Yeah, you can go on it sideways of what concerns you if if you approach it this way.
Mm-hmm.
What part of your thinking wants to drive it over here?
What part of your thinking? Okay.
Because it's what we're trying to do is maintain a story of
Mm.
I want to be this person, but we don't really think an identity is that I'm trying to be, but it is a story that we're telling ourselves is I don't want to be the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to. And so you could ask them, what runs through your head when you resist doing this? What do you worry about? Because that is, it's usually tied to, I don't want to be the person that people blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you. It's very helpful. All right. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
another thing, Carrie, is in the beginning, even explaining to them that while we'll be working on behaviors, that it is our identities that we're trying to enhance, build. And so I could ask you questions
Mm,
like, who are you being in those moments? When you do this, what part of you benefits? When you
yeah.
avoid, and so that they are already prepared for that.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they don't look at you sideways and go, what did you just ask me?
Yeah. So you set it up. Yeah. Perfect.
Jenny, can
Thank
we take like two more questions and then we'll close it out? I think we'll be at the end of our 90 minutes.
Absolutely. Sax?
I just had a quick question about like when you were asking the question of like who's speaking now. Because sometimes when I ask those types of questions, like the who questions, my client will be like, I don't know. I don't understand. I sometimes get a lot of like, I don't know, that's why I'm here. And I was just curious to know how do you respond to a client when they're in the in that kind of like phase of I just don't know what you're asking me or I don't know. They're constantly saying I don't know.
Um, so one, it could be a reflex
hmm
that I think we just automatically go to that. I don't know. Um, but two, just backing it up to say, when this happens, what are you hearing? And just writing down the words that they hear. And what even thinking about competency six is kind of what you're doing is figuring out the genre or the theme of their story right now. And if their words are, I can't, this sucks, I'm never, and they hear those, what kind of theme is playing out for you right now? And
That's good.
and and so then what is the theme that you want to be playing out? So then they get to what they know by hearing what they're saying. And that can be a way to pull that out because when we ask some of those questions, that the narratives are so collapsed in their world that they can't see what's going on. And so how do we pull them apart so that they can see all the moving pieces?
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Suzanne, or am I at my time,
You can do
Robert?
one more quick one.
Okay, Suzanne, you better be quick. Oh, you're on mute.
Um, Thank you for today. It was really interesting. And I did want to comment that I love your questions. I really like how you address them and articulate them. There was one thing that kind of stood out to me, and I was wondering if you purposely didn't go this way. When y'all were discussing the house, and Nia was saying how her house is kind of used currently, and Nia, you said, your office is downstairs. Your 16-year-old son, occupies the rest of the downstairs, and your daughter takes over the upstairs. Like that, um, you didn't follow up, Jenny, with like how, well, where's your place? Where's your husband's place? What part of the house do you occupy? How do you use the house? To me, there was just like a gap there. And I don't know if it was intentional or you needed a lot more time to be able to fill that gap.
Well, so that wasn't what her goal wasn't to really understand the layout of the house. Her goal was to move from the way that she's seeing things to how she wants to see things. And
Yeah,
so,
I didn't mean it from a layout perspective. I guess I just meant it more from like um they didn't seem like they had a place in their home.
mm-hmm,
Does that make sense?
mm-hmm, yep. And I didn't go there because it sounded like she first had to figure out how to feel better, like that there was a place for her to start to shift her thinking and how to deal with this. And that would be more in how to approach when they start planning. So that
Okay.
would probably fit into later stuff. If I coach her again on it, it'd probably fall there. And right now she just had to feel like, can I move from hopeless to hopeless, or from hopeless to hopeful or inspired hope? And then those details can kind of flush out in the next coaching session.
Okay. That's what
But
I figured. I figured as much, but it would just when during it was just
yeah,
really gap that I saw
yeah,
during the
yeah.
whole
And
thing. It
it's
all
a
like really
valid gap.
flowed except for that to me,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah. And we all see different details, so I
Right,
appreciate it.
right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jenny, Nia, so much. This is just amazing. So many great takeaways. Kind of like your session with us in January. We could do this probably for another couple of hours. So
Yeah.
we will find a way to circle y'all back and get you involved. Also, thanks to everyone for their patience during the technology and also the great conversation. You know, I had a great mentor that always talked about don't waste a moment. And I don't think we wasted any time during the pause. So it was a lot of fun. A special shout out to Louise. Louise, I know what I'm having for dinner tonight. It will definitely be Italian. Thanks to everyone for joining the session. And again, Jenny and Nia, thank you so much. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you all.
Everybody
I
have a
so
great rest of the
appreciate
day.
this. It was an
Thank you,
honor being
Robert.
here tonight. Thank you.
Goodbye, Jen.
Everybody
Thank you
take
so
care.
much.